So you may or may not have heard of the Atelier series of RPGs, which has been ongoing for about 20 years now, at least in Japan, but we have gotten a lot of them since the mid-2000s, and they've been coming out pretty annually since the PS3, so for about 10 years now, we've been getting an Atelier almost every year. The very first one that we got was Atelier Iris on the PS2, which was more of a traditional RPG instead of the ones on the PS3 that are more based on just kind of running your workshop, making items, getting materials, doing requests, and just kind of building a reputation and taking care of some kind of goal that whatever the character has. I'm going to be completely honest here and just say that I don't have much familiarity with the Atelier series outside of the PS2 games. I just wasn't really able to get into the PS3 ones, but I didn't give them much of a shot, so I'll probably come back to them, but I'm digressing a bit here. Before the Atelier Iris games, we obviously had the beginnings of the series, which were a little bit more like the PS3 games, but they were a bit simpler. That's not to say they're bad or anything, they're just different, but in a good way. But now, finally, thanks to Atelier Traduction, I kind of want to keep saying Traduction, we can finally play the first two games, Atelier Marie Elie, in English. There's a patch for it, and I'm really excited about this because I love those two games. I played them in Japanese like 10 years ago. They were so much fun, but I couldn't quite get past that barrier, and now that I've been able to, I've been having an absolute blast with these games. So the version that has been translated is the PS2 version, which is based on the Dreamcast version, which is enhanced ports of the PS1 versions. So there's definitely a bit of history there. There's been some extra features added on, additional endings, that kind of thing. So ultimately we got the best version in English through this team. Although it is the best version, there were actually some bugs in the retail version that kind of messed with some endings and stuff like that. I guess sometimes music wouldn't play in some areas. I don't know. But the translation team actually fixed these, which is awesome because usually a translation is just a translation. It's like, you gotta still deal with those bugs. But not this time. That's actually very awesome. And I guess they also added in the opening sequences from the PS1 versions that were taken out in the port, so that's cool too. If you're interested in these games, it's pretty much the same kind of thing as the newer Atelier games, but not quite as in-depth. They still have all the gathering the materials, making items, running your workshop, doing requests, making money, building reputation, stuff like that, but it's kind of dumbed down. Although, I don't want to say dumbed down because that makes it sound kind of bad, but it's just not as fleshed out as the newer games, but it's still a lot of fun. And honestly, if you put in enough time, you can get a basic ending for one of these games in a weekend. They're very short and very replayable. Also, I see this misunderstanding on a few sites. It's not tactical. I know the battle system looks kind of tactical, but it's just a normal turn-based system like, honestly, like early Final Fantasy games or anything like that. The translation itself is pretty good. There were some awkward lines here and there, didn't really feel like how somebody who speaks English would say that sentence, but it was only a few times I noticed this. Overall, like, all the text has been great. It's a very well done translation. It's really so cool to finally be able to play these games. Like, this is where Atelier began, and maybe I'm a little bit biased for the Salberg series, but I'm really happy to finally be able to play these. I've had so much fun, and they're definitely worth checking out if you like the modern Atelier games, but do keep in mind they do still have time limits. I know that some of the newer ones haven't, and that makes them a little bit easier, but these ones do, and honestly they're not that hard. They're pretty easy games to go through. I hope that one day either Atelier Traduction or some other translation group will maybe translate some of the other games, like the ones that were on PS2, or some of the side games even, because there were plenty of those. It would be awesome to be able to finally just play all these games in English, although I know that's a tall order, so I'm not expecting anything anytime soon, but at the very least it would be cool to see the PS2 ones. So if anyone knows of any groups that might be working on Lily or anything like that, please let me know. I would be absolutely stoked to play that in English. I haven't even tried playing that in Japanese yet. I really want to play that one in English, so Please let me know if you hear anything. So there's a brief look at the Atelier Marie Elie translation. I'll put a link down below to where you can get the patch from. And honestly, I hope that you enjoy it even a fraction as much as I have, because this is a great game and it's a lot of fun. So if you do try it and you love it, that's awesome. If you don't, well then hey, at least you tried.